All right, so moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Bill McLaughlin, who asked me to do a RWBY Hellraiser story. Um, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, let's get started with the video. So this story basically is a set in the current time at the beginning. I'll get to that in a minute. So essentially, what it is that Tai Yang, Ruby and Yang's father, is basically like it's a late night, and they're just like, "Hey, why don't you? It's a dark and stormy night. Why don't you tell us like a ghost story or something, Dad?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm not really good at telling stories or whatever." And he's like, "Also, I don't know if I want to scare you girls in like giving you a scary story like that or something. I don't know if that's going to sit with me at all." So that's when they hear like a knocking at the window, and he's like, "Who is that rapping at my chamber door?" And Ruby and Yang are like, "What? Nothing. It's from a never mind." So he opens it, and who else but Crow comes fluttering in, and he's like, "Hey, it was storming outside. Thought I'd come in." And he's like, "Oh, sure, Crow. Just invite yourself in. Why not?" And keep in mind, this is Ruby and Yang at a very young age. Like this is before they start to train to become huntresses. So they're like, "Hey, Uncle Crow, do you know any like scary stories?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a few." Uh, what? Your dad's not good at them, and he's like, and Ty's just like, "I hate you sometimes." And he's like, "Well, what? Like, you couldn't think of a scary story? We've been on so many scary adventures." And he's like, "Yeah, but like nothing really stands out, and I don't want to like creep him out." So, um, what happens is that Crow's just like, "All right, I got a scary story, and it's a real one. Your dad was even there." And he's like, "Wait, Crow, not that story, not that. No, 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 it'll be fine. Uh, you'll understand. The girls will like it. They'll think it's pretty cool." So Crow is like, let's sit by the fireplace, and old Uncle Crow will tell you a story of the time me and your dad met some real monsters." And then they're like Grim, and he's like, "No, not like Grim." So this story, it's Crow, Tai Yang, Summer, and um, Raven. And the four of them, this is when they were young and still hunters and huntresses, and Summer and Ty are together and all that. So they basically are on a mission to because a village has gone dark. There is a village has gone it's gone quiet, and people are thinking it's a Grim attack. So they have sent they've sent Ty and the others in order to ascertain as to what exactly had happened and what occurred, in order to figure out what's happened to the village. And if there are Grim there, then it's their job to like clear it out. So the group goes into this village, and immediately they're like off put. Even Raven and Crow are immediately like off put by how like just disturbingly quiet it is. And they're thinking like maybe it's an ambush, maybe it was raiders, maybe it was Grim, because Grim would leave a mark. Like the houses look untouched. Like they legit look like something that if it was Grim, they would have torn the houses apart and there would be bodies still behind, but there's no bodies. So eventually they reach what looks to be like a church. And in the church, they are met by a priest. And the priest basically is like, "Come in, come in," and they're like, "Are you alive?" And he's like, "Are you all right? We heard, what happened to the village." And then they're like, "Oh, you mean the enlightenment we received?" And they're like, "Enlightenment?" And he's like, "Yes, we had a vision from the gods. We were awestruck by a powerful vision, and we all came here in order to bask in its glory." Um, um, so Ty, Summer, Raven and Crow follow into the church and immediately are like awestruck by the absolute horror they witness. They're just bodies all twisted up and gnarled, skinned. It looks like an orgy of just disgusting, horrible, well, everything. And immediately Crow is the first one to like grab the priest and is like, start talking. And he's like, you don't understand. This is a vision from our God. And Crow's like, start talking about this God. And they're like, the priest basically explains that like our God came to us a little over a year ago. We were expanding the village, and one of the workers discovered a artifact, discovered the architect of our, the beacon that allowed us to communicate with our gods. The village elders all were trying to communicate with it because we believe it was an artifact from the gods, and it opened a door that allowed angels to greet us. They told, the angels basically reached into our minds and told us all of the great passions and all the great joys of, of pleasures we have not seen before. So, we eventually kind of spiral. Basically, the priest is like, we built this holy temple in the name of pleasures of the flesh because our gods told us that we didn't have to be denied of them. And Raven in that moment is just a moment of just kill him, just immediately kills him. And they're like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And she's like, he's corrupted. Whatever this is just pure corruption. And they are, they basically are like, well, we got to find whatever this artifact is and figure, maybe this artifact is in the church. We need to find it, recover it, and get rid of it. So they start searching throughout through the church, and each one, like Summer encounters the female, in like quick and you miss it moments, and she's also bombarded by visions of having a way with Ty, and Ty is having visions of both Summer and Crow in like these throes of passion and whatnot, shall we say. Crow himself is like being finds a room just full of alcohol and him just drowning in a sea of liquid. Raven herself is like given visions of destroying Tai Yang and Summer's relationship, and all these different pleasures and whatnot. And it isn't until like Tai Yang himself discovers the box, the lament configuration, and he hears a voice go, "Open it. Let all of your pleasures, be released." And he's like, I can't. He's like trying to fiddle with it, and that's when Summer like stops him and goes, "No, we don't touch this. This is wrong." And so they're like, "So do we take it back to Beacon? What do we do? Do we get rid of it? Like." There's a discussion because they're like, we can't, like, what if this is a thing from the gods or whatever? And Summer's just like, we cannot we can't let this fall into any god or not. This is clearly something wrong and something twisted. So we cannot in good conscience keep this. We have to get rid of it. So that's where the story ends. But Yang and RWBY are just like, did you guys ever figure out what that was? And Crow's like, no, we never did, and we never wanted to. And Yang is just like, so what did you do with the box? And Ty immediately goes, we destroyed it. Like we broke it and kept the things from ever coming in. And if they ever do come back, your old man's going to stop them, and your Uncle Crow too, I guess. However, that's not the real story. The real story is that they just buried it, but someone else came along and took it. That being, Salem found it and kept the lament configuration for herself. So there you go, guys. I know it's not really Hellraiser heavy, but I want to go with more like existential dread than anything else this time around. But anyway, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this unique take on a RWBY Hellraiser crossover? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.